News Radio.
Good morning and welcome to Coffee Ann, the longest-running panel discussion show in American radio. To make a comment or ask a question of the panel, call 401-766-1240 or email coffee@woonsocket.radio.com. And now, let's join the Coffee Ann panel.
It is time for Coffee Ann here on ON AM and FM. We thank you for joining us on this Thursday morning. It's January 5th in the year 2023. This is Joe Callahan saying good morning to Attorney Bob Lauder. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning.
And
good to be with you.
Emily Haining-She is here. Hi, Em.
Good morning. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Dave Richards has joined us for just a few minutes here. Hi, Dave.
Hi, Joe. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. You sound just like Emily. All right. Before we get to...
She
my
doesn't
idol.
sing anywhere near as well.
I know. Emily, it's time for our first message from the Call newspaper, and then we'll get into all the other things we need to get into.
Yes, not a problem. So, good morning, everyone. It's great to be back, and Happy New Year. The Call and the Times, we have a lot of awesome promotions going on for the first quarter. We actually have our winter special. It is back for the second year in a row. You can do a full week, 7 days of promotions at a deeply discounted price. We have all different sizes, and it's a great program. So if you are interested, please give me a call at my direct line at the Call. And it is 401-767-8500.
But she doesn't sing that one, Joe.
No, she doesn't.
I could.
Is that velour you're wearing?
Yes.
It is? Wow. Very nice.
Looks very nice.
I have an
Yes.
event. I have an event
Okay.
tonight in Pawtucket. The city of Pawtucket has come out with a new city video promoting the city of Pawtucket. So it is being played at a
Unveiled.
theater. Yeah, it's being So I'm
Are they
excited.
going to show it at the Leroy?
Yeah.
At the Leroy.
No,
Jeez.
the Leroy's been closed for a very, very long
Closed.
time.
I
don't even think it's there anymore.
Yeah,
Is it still a parking lot?
I thought it was the CVS.
it's a
now.
CVS,
CVS
now.
now? Oh, okay. Well, Dave's here for the with Milk Fund donations. So start us off there, Dave. Or do you want Bob to start us off?
I'm going to ask Bob to start us off.
Thank you. Well, we have
Donations to the Milk Fund, folks. Yes, we're still collecting them.
a donation from Maureen McGrain, and she lives way out in Harrisville, and it has a little note. And it says, "Dear sir, sorry I'm so late. Take care, Maureen." But we're happy because later never, it's $40 for the Milk Fund. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That is great.
All right.
right.
Emily
Hand the
has
check
one.
over.
Well-
By the way, that was sent to the Call.
Yes. So you can still, I've got these yesterday at the Call, so I'm still, bringing them over here. So this one I can actually top Bob's. And it's
Whoa.
from Judith Merritt. It is a $100 donation, and it is in memory of Alice Renard, Rita Menard, and Gert
Hero.
Hiru. So Alice Renard, Rita Menard, and Gert Hiru. So
$100.
yes,
Wow.
$100, and Judith is from Woonsocket.
Great
So
donation.
thank you very,
Both of
very
them.
much
And
for.
there's a nice little card in there with
Yes, there
a tree
is.
on it and everything.
Yep, and it says the Call staff, Christmas shines brighter because of people like you. And that's from Judy. So thank you so much for your
You should
donation.
take the card back and show it to everybody.
I am.
I know
am.
Stella will be touched.
Yes, yes. Our shining star reporters, Joe Nato and Stella Lawrence. They've been doing a wonderful job, promoting and giving us the news. So very, very happy.
I have one more check here, and this is not by way of one-upsmanship, folks, because we really feel very, very sincerely thankful for the checks that were just mentioned. But this is we mentioned to you some time back that we know that things go a little slower in this century. You'd think that everything was faster, but no. And so a lot of what is promised to us during December actually comes in January. And so these folks here that sent them one in January, if you're still thinking of it yourself, and haven't gotten around to it, there's no problem with that at all. All through January, we'll still collect those things. We're just not out there stumping for them any longer because our appeal goes from, during December. But afterwards, we look forward to, those things that we've impressed people and they want to send us a check and stuff like that. And this one was promised to us early in December and has finally arrived yesterday here at the radio station. It is from CVS Health, CVS Pharmacy. And we're delighted to announce that they have contributed $5,000 to the Milk Fund appeal.
Wow.
For 22.
Woohoo!
That's great.
Yes, wish we had the bells, but that's really, really something, and that's something that we've been expecting because they sent us a letter saying it was coming, and now the check has finally arrived, and it'll be going in there, and our total is, I think with that right there, we're approaching 50,000 right now. I'm going by dead reckoning based on what I have here in my paper. I think we're very close to 50,000 out of our $60,000 goal, and it's still coming in.
All right.
Well, you and the radio
Great.
station and all the contributors have done a fantastic job in raising
Yes.
money.
Most of the contributors, yes.
Yes.
We're just a cheerleader here.
Yeah,
Well,
we have a wonderful community.
You've been running the pom-poms very well. They,
Yes.
Right, okay, thanks. I'll accept that as the compliment I'm sure it was meant to be. But anyway.
All right, Dave,
And
thank
now
you.
back to the show,
Thank
Joe.
you very much. Now,
we can
last-
bring up all the silly stuff
Okay.
and tragic stuff.
We will.
Yeah.
Now, last week we put Bob in the case to go do a little homework for us.
Ooh.
Yeah, we asked him last week, is it legal, legal, I guess, for an employer in Rhode Island and in Massachusetts to charge their employees to pay for uniforms to work at where they're working? Do you understand, Emily?
Yes.
Okay. And so Bob went on the case and had trouble finding information.
I did have trouble finding information. It appears if you are a independent contractor, you're not protected by a union contract with your employer, that there is nothing that I could find that says the employer cannot make a demand that says, yes, you have to wear this particular uniform, and the source of the uniform is going to be our company, and you have to buy it from us. I can't find anything. I'll continue to look, but right now, it looks like the company can do that.
Doesn't it sound like that should be illegal?
Yes, it does.
It does sound that way.
But I will say, being a waitress all through high school and college and working, they always say, they might give you the shirt that's logoed with the restaurant, but they might specifically say, you have to wear, black pants, or something like that. But if it's more elaborate than that, and it's not so much like restaurant, industry, I would definitely think that there's something not right there.
Yeah, Em wasn't here last week, and I told the story when I first started working. It was at a Burger King, and they gave you the shirt.
Yeah.
And then they said, okay, the pants are brown Dickies. You go buy them. You went to Zayre's, you went to In at Hope, you went to Ames or whatever. They sell them. Go buy a couple of pair, and you have to wear those pants. And whatever one of shoes you can wear any kind of shoes you wanted, but remember they're gonna get ruined. So and they can't be sneakers. So
and some places do, obviously, say that. Especially with the shoes part, depending on like the obviously the industry.
yeah.
Did you see the rack of clothes that Dave has out in the waiting room that are going to be the new uniforms around here?
No, I did not see that.
The price tags on them are pretty steep.
He did not consult me on those.
Well, once you get a look at them, you'll realize that there's ways to spend money wisely and ways to spend money otherwise, and yours is just going the other way.
No, all right. But it just seems that employers should not be charging their employees for their uniforms.
Yeah,
It
that's
just seems so wrong.
But
yeah.
if you are an independent contractor,
That's different.
You walk in and you
But that's different. You're not an employee.
You are an employee in the sense. I didn't use independent contractor in the tax sense.
All
I'm
right.
using independent contractor in the sense of an individual who goes into a store and says, I'd like to work as a clerk. And the store manager says, fine, we'll hire you at X number of dollars an hour.
Yeah.
These are the rules. You have to wear this uniform. You have to buy it from us. You decide, okay, I'm going to abide by these rules. I will be employed.
Loophole. What if you're not told that up front? And that's the case. And there is a specific case we're talking about here. My daughter was hired someplace. She
Oh,
wasn't
okay.
told that ahead of time. Now she's working there 8 months, 9 months, 10 months, and now she's told, oh, now you have to buy this.
Okay, she has the right to say, that's nice, but I'm going to go elsewhere and find a job somewhere else because I don't want to spend this kind of money with you to buy
Well,
the uniform."
we did say that to her. You always have the right to quit, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, just
But you
it-
never there was
What?
one thing that my grandmother and my mother always told me. Don't quit a job
Do you have
unless
another
you
one?
have another
Something-
job to go to.
Well, I was told that too. Always. Yeah.
Oh yeah. You always have to have,
Something to go
like
to.
A, B, C, D plan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Well, that explains why you guys are so successful and smart here. But one of us who works for himself doesn't have a job to. Okay. Your
Yeah.
grandmother's advice is well taken. I'm
Never
still
just
following it.
quit because you're out of emotion.
Yeah.
You can be mad, you can be upset,
Yeah.
then go find something and then come back and quit.
Yep.
And,
And then another, just going back to, with the holidays and everything, you always think back of, yesteryear and things like that. And another saying my grandmother always said, there's 3 things to live by. Your word, your credit, and your honesty.
Okay.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Your grandmother was pretty darn smart.
She was.
Wow.
She was.
Credit, word, and honesty.
All right,
Yeah.
Bob, we got a note that's been called in. It's really more specific to you. 766-1240. So, Bob, what is the eviction protocol for people who are 62 or older? And is there a difference between for evictions, depending on age?
It depends on the manner in which you're being evicted. There's several ways in which a landlord can evict a tenant. If the landlord just wants to, if the tenant has been a good tenant and fulfilled the requirements of paying rent and things like that, and the landlord wants to evict them, they have to send them a lawful notice ahead of time. The law requires that the notice be sent at least 30 days in advance of the end of a rental period, which would mean that if I was going to evict you from your apartment right now in the state of Rhode Island, today's the 5th of January, I would be telling you that you would have to move out of the apartment by the 1st of March, because we don't have 30 days between now and the time that the end of the month comes, and most people pay their rent at the beginning of a month. If, however, and these different lengths of time, I believe that if you're under 62, it's a 30-day notice, and I haven't had to challenge one, but I think if it's over 62, it's a 2-month notice instead of 1.
Okay.
I can check that for you as well. However, if you don't pay your rent, it's much quicker for a landlord to evict a tenant. The landlord, once the tenant's 15 days late, like on the 16th day of the month, if you're paying the 1st of the month, and the landlord hasn't received the funds, the landlord can send you a 5-day demand that says, here's the amount of money you owe me, pay up in 5 days. If the tenant refuses to pay up in the 5 days, the landlord can immediately file the case in the district court. The court prior to COVID was automatically assigning these cases to a hearing 9 days later, which would mean that if you didn't pay your rent on the first day of the month, you could very well be in court to be thrown out before the end of the month. If the tenant goes to court, then they may be able to work out an arrangement with the landlord and get an extension of time. If they cannot do that, the landlord would go in front of a judge, would most likely win the case if he's fulfilled the requirements of the notice. The tenant has the right to take an appeal from that, which would be from the district court to the superior court. The distance in walking between the two courts is about a 10-minute walk in downtown Providence. It'll take about 2 weeks for the file to actually make the 10-minute walk between the two buildings. And
Oh, it's stopping off at Starbucks for a coffee.
probably. And if the tenant has failed to pay the rent during the interim, the tenant is not going to prevail in the superior court and can be lawfully evicted. Sheriff would show up at the door and say, we have the order to remove your property if you don't take it out within X number of days.
So really the only difference if you're 62 or older is you get like 1 extra month.
I believe so, but while we go into a break, I will check it out.
All right, very good. We are going to break right now. So, Emily, time for a second message from the Call newspaper.
Yes. So we have more promotions. One that's going to be upon us quicker than we think in a blink of an eye. And Bob, get ready.
What's that?
It's Valentine's Day.
Oh, my God.
Valentine's Day is next month. It might as well be tomorrow because you have to start planning your gifts. But we have our Valentine's Day contest. So we are doing that again this year. And it's actually the promoting of the Valentine's Day contest is going to be starting at the end of January because it's at the beginning of February, as we all know, February 14th. So the deadline for committing to the Valentine's Day promotion and the contest is next week. It's the 11th. So if you are interested in promoting your business for the Valentine's Day contest, and again, we have, a great, many gifts that we are doing again this year for the contest, please give me a call at 401 67. Yeah, see, no, I can't do that one. I can't because it will sound the same as, Stearns McGee. So it's just 401 767 8500.
Very good. All right. More coffee ads coming up. Comments and questions can be called in at 766-1240.
Hey, it's ON Radio's Cruisin' Bruce Palmer inviting you to join me for another Saturday block party. This weekend, we'll remember Elvis Presley on the anniversary of the King's birth. Plus, of course, your request or dedication. Cruisin' Bruce's Saturday block party every Saturday from 4 to 7 at 1240 a.m. and 99.5 FM or online at onworldwide.com.
The Coffee and Panel is enjoying coffee from Down East Coffee in Pawtucket. They're a 62-year-old family business that roasts all its coffee right here in Rhode Island. Founded originally as Excellent Coffee Company, they provide great coffee to food service establishments throughout New England.
Have you heard of Scott McGee with RE/MAX Properties? He's been selling real estate in Rhode Island and Massachusetts for the last 17 years, and you can see that he loves what he does. Scott, as well as his team, take pride in what they call the fair and honest team. No gimmicks. And no, they're not buying your house if it doesn't sell, etc. Just fair and honest real estate. Scott personally works with tons of sellers and buyers and specializes in residential properties as well as commercial. And he's always very fair and offers super competitive rates. Remember, this is probably the biggest move in dollars that you will ever spend or receive. You want to go with a trusted and experienced agent. Scott is fair, honest, and modest, always puts the clients first. And he also dealt with literally almost any situation. You really need to look at your real estate needs as a business. You want to pay and get the right money now so that you're not paying for it later. Trust me. So why not give Scott McGee a call at 401-639-2906. That's 401-639-2906.
It's Coffee In on ON Radio with Joe Callahan, Bob Lauder, Emily Henning-Sheen from the call. Joining us on the phone is Scott McGee, Counselor Scott McGee, actually. Hello there, Scott.
Hey, how are you today?
We're well. How are you?
Happy New Year, Scott.
I'm doing. I know. Happy New Year to you guys too.
Nice of you to...
I was listening to Emily trying to sing her own song, but she can't because my number's screwing her up.
Yes,
right.
exactly.
We'll get to Emily singing your number in just a minute or two here first. But first, Scott, any properties you're looking to sell that's particularly hot at the moment?
Absolutely. So we started off the new year with a listing over in Johnston, Rhode Island. It's 34 Matthew Drive in Johnston, Rhode Island. So it's not far. It's actually a really cool house, and it's not far from. It's probably 10 minutes from Providence. And the new Amazon building is probably, 5 minutes tops, probably.
All right.
But it's a colonial, 2,500 square foot colonial. It's got 4 bedrooms, 3.5 baths, 2,500 square feet. As convenient as it is, it's very private. It's a nice private lot, dead end street cul-de-sac. So 34 Matthew Drive, and we're asking $619,900 for that. Hardwoods throughout. They got Silestone in the kitchen, and it was built in 2002, but they got a brand new septic. They just had one issue with it, so they changed it right out. So, and that sits on an acre of land, kind of like on a hilltop, but it's a nice flat backyard with woods around you. So, really cool house.
Yeah,
Nice.
I'm looking at the pictures right now. It looks like it has high ceilings.
Yep, we got some cathedral ceilings in the family room.
Yeah.
It's decorated for Christmas right now, so we'll probably have to take new pictures soon. But
That's a great kitchen.
great property, yeah. We got showings on it this weekend, so if anyone knows anyone who's interested, let us know.
like some
Great
recessed
property, though, it really
lighting.
is.
Some recessed lighting.
All right.
Recessed lights. It's got a little billiard room in the basement, a gym in the basement. It's got a propane fireplace. So really cool stuff. It's just it's a lot of house for the money these days. So if we know anyone, let us know.
And how do they get hold of you, Scott?
Yeah, there you go. Right. They can call me at any time at
Special number for that?
401-639-2906.
Oh, no, we want to hear the real song.
401-639-2906.
Let's hear it one more time, then.
401-639-2906.
All right, Scott McGee
Thank
from
you.
Stearns McGee.
You're welcome.
Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks. Have a great day.
Take care.
You
Bye.
as well.
All right. Bye.
All right.
Before we go further, let me
Yes.
tell you, I was wrong in what I just said about
About
evictions.
what? About evictions.
Yes.
Okay.
The protection for a person who's over the age of 62 has to do with notices of increases in rent. And that they have to give you the 2 months. But for regular eviction notices, there's no special protection for people over the age of 62. It's still 30, in a month-to-month tenancy, it's still 30 days
I see.
in advance of the end of a rental period.
So, but if they want to raise the rent, if you're over 62, you got to give 2 months notice.
Right.
If you're under 62, 1 month
1
notice.
month, right.
All right. Very good, Bob. Thank you very much. So, we want before we go any further, I just want to give the two of you any opportunities of any thoughts you wanted to say about the Buffalo Bills player that had the cardiac arrest, DeMar Hamlin. Bob's got his mouth open. Emily's shaking her head. It's just,
it was
did you watch
terrifying.
it? Did you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just awful to see. I mean, it really was. And my heart goes out to him and his family and, wish him, obviously
Recovery.
a recovery.
Yeah.
But, obviously we don't know, I mean, obviously it was cardiac arrest,
Yeah.
but we don't know the circumstances, whether, he has a heart condition or, it might have been the tackle. Who knows? Because, I mean, it happened right after the tackle. And it was just...
Now, Bob, you're not the Monday Night Football watcher. So,
No, I'm not, but I'm aware of what happened.
Okay.
And I also saw the article that said that back about 40 years ago, a player had actually died as a result of this. I would imagine, if you look at it realistically, we're really lucky that a lot more players are not seriously injured. You're throwing a whole lot of force and weight against somebody.
Yeah.
This could have happened a lot more often.
Yes.
It's tragic. I hope the guy recovers, but I'm surprised that maybe we're just lucky it hasn't occurred more frequently.
I think so too.
Yeah.
They commended the medical people at the field because they were doing the CPR.
Yes.
Not really to start his heart again, but to keep the blood circulating before we
Right.
can get the defibrillator out there, and that started his heart again. And when they got to the hospital, they had to restart it again. So
Yeah.
So
I hope
And
he
24 years
survives.
old.
I'm not
I
sure
mean,
how
that's-
seriously
Way too young.
impaired he may be.
well, they don't know yet. He's still in intensive care and he's still sedated, so they don't know how much damage has been done to his heart, his brain,
Yeah.
or anything like that. So, and the NFL is still up in the air because the New England Patriots play the Buffalo Bills this Sunday. Now, the
Okay.
game is still scheduled to go on as scheduled,
All right.
but they're still kicking around the idea of maybe we should postpone this game too because of the Buffalo Bill players who don't know how their
Their teammate is
doing.
recovering.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're kind of not in the right
Frame of mind.
to play a
Exactly.
game.
It wouldn't. Okay, it's not because there'd be a shortage of players
Oh
on
no,
their
they
team.
can no, they can always get another player.
Okay.
There's a whole practice squad of people that they can just
But
you're
it's
in.
just,
I have my
I mean,
application.
it's...
Yeah, yeah, they're looking for 62-year-old guys.
Boy, I wish I were 62 again.
I do a great story in regards to sports. the PC Friars
Oh, it was a great game last
beat
night. University of
the
Connecticut.
number 4 Yukon Huskies. They are
Men's basketball, Bob.
men's basketball in the Big East tournament right now, in the Big East play. PC is undefeated.
Yeah,
Whoa.
yeah.
So that's
That goes back to the old days.
The real old days, back to the 70s.
70s, yes, I remember
Yeah.
that.
But it was so loud at the AMP, what a stupid name.
yeah.
At the Civic Center last night, it was jumping. The place was sold out.
Oh yeah.
And I stayed up for the whole thing. 11
Yeah.
o'clock. I'm like, oh, I'm so tired.
Yeah, but
I made it.
Yeah, go
And,
Friars.
And
It was exciting. It was a
oh, it
good
was very.
game.
Oh
very
yeah,
exciting.
it was
just-
like
oh.
buzzer beating win.
It was back and forth through the first half, and I think the Friars were up by 4 at the half or 2 or something like that. But then they pulled away, and they were up by 10. I was so happy. It's like, this is
Fantastic.
awesome.
Yeah. So it was a great win for
Yeah.
for Rhode Island.
And keeping on the sports vein, Rafael Devers will stay. With the
Yes,
Boston Red Sox.
11-year contract.
$331 million, Bob.
Yeah.
Oh,
Just to
yikes.
play
I really should have
to
paid more
play
attention when I was
baseball.
in high school gym class.
Yep. Well, first he signs the 1-year contract extension for $17 million just for 1 year, and then the 11-year contract kicks in after that for $331 million.
How old is he?
Oh, he's 24.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh, he's young.
He is young.
He's young.
It's reasonable to expect
So,
he'll play the
mo-
whole-
He'll,
most-
he'll still be playing in 11 years.
Oh yeah, most likely either the 11 after the 11 years, maybe retirement,
Maybe.
or maybe another like 1 or 2 year extension. At that point, because when and because of the position that he plays, it's a little bit of a more longevity career wise.
Maybe, but they
You
may
know-
also, later on after 5 years, all right, why don't you try to play first base for a while?
Yeah, and
That's a little less
that's
taxing.
yeah,
Or we make you the DH.
true.
Kind of thing. So there's a lot of options that they have, and
Yeah.
it looks like the Red Sox will now build around him.
Which is great.
He's now the cornerstone of the whole organization, and we'll fill in around him now.
Well, last week you were talking about the fact that they sounded like they were losing people.
They were.
Oh, and
Yeah.
they
have,
did.
and they lost a lot.
They've lost
Consider
a,
this to be a
yeah,
keystone
they've
that
lost,
they can
they've lost
build
a lot.
around.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good.
And it looks like this is what they were planning all along.
Yeah.
He's the guy. He's our guy. He's young enough.
Yeah.
He's the rock. So we now start with him, and we've sewn him up for the next 12 years, really.
Yeah.
And now we'll build off of him, and we'll see where we can go.
Yeah.
They're still going to be lousy this year.
You know
Yeah, but
what?
you see-
You never,
you see signs
of
you never
improvement.
know.
You do never know.
You never
I know.
know.
You got to play the games.
Yeah,
and,
you do.
They
You
signed the
do.
guy from Los Angeles, and they
Yeah.
got the guy from Japan, and they did sign another pitcher. Kluber's coming, so all right, maybe it won't be as bad or so, but they need relief pitching. Bob, how's your arm? Pretty good.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, curveball looking all right.
I think rag arm is a better.
Rag.
A rack.
Is that what we want to call it? Do we want to call it?
I
that?
don't
not in
know.
public.
I don't know.
We'll try the knuckleball. That's not so taxing on your arm, Bob.
But not few people can do a knuckleball.
It's you got to have a
Yep.
good size hand.
Yep.
And it's all in the grip.
Explain to the dummy. How does
When
the
you
knuckle-
throw a ball,
Right.
it spins.
Yes.
Basically, when you throw a knuckleball, it doesn't spin. Well,
No.
it doesn't spin as much. It just kind of. So
And
it
it's
looks like
more of a sidearm
yeah.
type
So it looks
of
like
throw
it's floating
too.
in at you, but it's also coming in at a good rate of speed. So it's really disconcerting to the hitter,
Yes.
which is used to seeing the ball spin. So it's tough.
And
to
that's
hit.
why Tim
And then it
Wakefield
drops.
was so
He was so good at it.
He was so good at it, and
Yeah.
and was the goat of knuckleballers.
Yeah.
In baseball.
Wow.
It's tough to hit. It's tough to catch too, as a catcher,
Yeah.
because it moves. It's like
And-
as it's coming in, it's going from side to side.
Okay, the way you're talking, it sounds like not all pitchers use this.
No,
No.
it's a specialty.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's very tough to do.
Yeah. It is.
All right, enough on that. We got to move on. And time for the weather forecast being brought to you by Compassion International.
Rain or freezing rain, likely before 1 p.m., then just rain for the rest of the day and patchy drizzle. Otherwise, it'll be a cloudy day today with temperature falling to around 36 by 5 p.m. and a north wind. Tonight, patchy drizzle or freezing rain before 5 a.m., then just snow, freezing rain, and drizzle for a while. Otherwise cloudy, overnight low of 34. Friday's weather, snow mainly before 3 p.m. Accumulation of around an inch is possible with a high near 36 Friday. Saturday, partly sunny with a high of 42. Sunday, sunshine and 38. Monday, partial sunshine and 42. Tuesday, mostly sunny and 44. And next Wednesday, partly sunny and 43.
Currently outside the Navigate Credit Union broadcast studio on the corner of Park Ave and Kennedy Street with cloudy skies, we have 43 degrees. Drought, war, and rising food prices have devastated families in poverty. $50 provides a food kit to feed a family for a month. Just text the word radio to 97646. Quality, compassion, community is Landmark Medical Center. But why choose Landmark? Here's why. You get the care you need without traveling far from home. Also, you'll receive heart care, wound healing, and preventative care and services. Plus, you get emergency care 24 hours a day, every day at Landmark Medical Center. Your community hospital is Landmark Medical Center, 115 Cass Avenue, Woonsocket. Visit landmarkmedical.org for more information.
Krakow Deli Bakery and Smokehouse offers authentic homemade Polish food to make your next meal real special. Try our many varieties of hot and fresh pierogi with onions and dirty sour cream, or pick up golubki, kielbasa, babkas, or some fresh rye bread. We also offer a large selection of specialty and imported goods. We're open Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays from 9 to 6, Wednesdays 9 to 5, and Saturdays 8 to 5. Follow us on Facebook to learn about our weekly specials. Located at 855 Social Street in Woonsocket, Krakow Deli Bakery and Smokehouse has all the authentic Polish foods you love.
Hi, this is Gary Smith. Join me for Do You Remember, Tuesday through Friday mornings at 9:30 here on ON Radio.
All right, Gary, thank you. Gary's coming up at 9:30 today. It is Coffee In. This is Joe Callahan along with Bob Lauder and Emily Haynes-Sheehan. And Bob, time for your first message from your law office, please.
Thank you. Good morning. Diana, I'm still working on these. Although I no longer practice criminal law, I'd like to talk with you this morning about a recent decision of the Rhode Island Supreme Court which opinioned upon the alleged violation of Miranda rights. As we all know, Miranda rights are the form wherein police advise an individual that he does not have to respond to questions of the officers and that statements can be made will be used against the individual in court. The case is that of the State versus Cochran, and it was decided in May of 2022. In Cochran, a police officer arrived at the scene of a one-vehicle accident. The defendant was standing outside the vehicle, and the officer observed damage to the vehicle. When speaking with the driver, the officer noticed what he believed to be signs of alcoholic intoxication. The officer asked the driver if he'd been drinking, and the driver replied no. Before performing the field sobriety test, the officer told the driver he had thought he had been drinking, and the driver then admitted he had consumed 2 beers. The officer conducted the field sobriety test, which indicated the driver was impaired. The officer then retrieved a preliminary breath test from the cruiser and asked the driver to take that test as well. The driver took the test, failed, and was placed under arrest. At that time, the officer read to the driver a rights of use at the scene card, which contained the Miranda rights. At the trial, the driver moved to suppress the evidence of the tests. He claimed that the tests were the result of custodial interrogation conducted before he was advised of his rights. At trial, the judge agreed with the driver, as subsequently did the Supreme Court. The court wrote, "Both the United States and the Rhode Island Constitution forbid the use of a defendant's involuntary confession. But the warnings of Miranda are only required when a person is in custody and undergoing interrogation by the police. Absent of formal arrest, a person is in custody if, in the view of all circumstances, a reasonable person would believe that he or she is not free to leave. The court may consider 4 elements: the extent to which the person's freedom is curtailed, the degree of force employed by the police, the belief of a reasonable, innocent person in identical circumstances, and whether the person had the option of not accompanying the police. In the Cochran case, the court determined that although there was no force employed by the police, the defendant's freedom of movement was curtailed by the watchful accompaniment of the police officer throughout the investigation and the interrogation. If you'd like to discuss this or other legal matters with me, please contact my office for an appointment. My name is Bob Lauder. My telephone number is 762-4550. And the disclaimer, the Supreme Court of Rhode Island licenses all attorneys in the general practice of law. The court does not license or certify any attorney as an expert or specialist in any field of practice, and apparently doesn't certify us as drivers either.
I'm glad I don't have to go to the Supreme Court to get my driver's license. That would be a real backup. All right, thanks, Bob. We did get a note that was called in just to the panel. Hey, Corey Kluber's a Cy Young Award winner, so this person is very happy that Kluber is coming to Boston, and I guess maybe they think that he's the savior of the bullpen.
You never know.
We'll see.
You never know.
That's right. It's a long season, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a saying in football, any given Sunday, but,
that's
you know,
right.
I think that...
Did you ever see that movie?
Yes.
That's a great movie.
Oh, such a great movie.
I'm sure you've
Such
seen
a
it,
great
Bob.
movie.
No.
Riveting.
He's never seen it.
Al
You
Pacino.
should. Al Pacino.
Al Pacino,
Al
great.
Pacino. I
As
mean,
the coach of the football team.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many.
The Godfather? Whoa.
Yes, that's
There's
right.
so many. I mean, kind of you name it is in it.
And Cameron Diaz, right? Is it Cameron Diaz
Yep.
as the owner of the team?
Yep, Cameron Diaz, and then
I forget the football player that's in the actor.
Jamie Foxx.
Could be,
Yep,
yeah.
Jamie. I believe it's Jamie Foxx, but it was. I think
I
it
haven't
was
seen it in a long time.
in the. Was it late '90s,
so.
early 2000s that it came out? But yeah, it would teach you a lot.
I saw the Newt Rockney story.
With Ronald Reagan?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
You need to bump up
Louise.
to bump up to at least the 70s, okay? Bob?
Yeah. Come on.
Have you seen Brian's song?
I remember
I
that on
have.
television years and years ago.
Oh,
Yes,
okay. Well, at least you
yes.
saw it. All right.
Okay.
All
Yes,
right.
sirs.
Moving on. That's right. Very good, Bob. All right. Other things going on in the city. Well, the city went in yesterday and took out the homeless encampment down there on Clinton Street. They showed up and said, all right, you got a half an hour to get out of here. Now, the problem was some of the people that had their belongings there weren't there. They had got up and went wherever they went.
Yeah.
And so they came back with the bulldozers and just wiped the whole thing out. And then some of them came back. Where's all my stuff? It is gone.
Where are the people who are homeless now going to live?
Well, now that's where the controversy comes in, Bob.
Yeah.
Now, the mayor was interviewed by Channel 10 and Channel 12, I believe, and she said, they've all been given places to go. And that when pressed for where, she wouldn't give any. She wouldn't be specific. So the answer is we don't know where they all went. So, some say they were offered down to the Armory in Cranston, but then some of the homeless say, well, that's Cranston. We want to be up here. This is where our circle of friends are, or whatever. We don't want to go to Cranston, kind of thing. So I can see both sides of this story. They are on city-owned land. And it's kind of like the State House when they were encamping down there. You can't be here. And we've let you stay here for, I don't know how many months. Some people say they've lived there for a year. So it's like they finally went in and just took it all out. You look concerned, Bob.
I am concerned because I would think that homelessness is a result of many different factors. Some can be economic, some can be psychological or emotional. But I think that we have a responsibility to try and protect people in a reasonable manner. And if we're taking them out of where they are able to live and reducing their ability to survive significantly by depriving them of the shelter that they had and not providing a place for them to go to as an alternative, and we're destroying some of their property, I'm concerned that we're not treating other citizens and other human beings as well as we could and they might deserve. If the administration is able to find a new place for them to live that's safer, that's great. If they can get them into housing of some kind, wonderful. If the people who are homeless are willing to accept it. But if we're just saying not here and
What about
knocking down their shelters and saying, go out and find something new on your own, that sounds kind of harsh.
What about the legality, Bob, of knocking down people's personal property? Yeah, they were on city-owned land, but that was that guy's or that woman's tent, and that was their sleeping bag, and you've just ruined it.
I would imagine that the defense would be that we consider it to be abandoned property. It has no right to be here. Similar to if somebody just parked a junk car in your yard and you wanted to get rid of it. There's laws in how you do something like that. But I'm troubled, as I said, by the element of reducing people who are already having a marginal existence to an even more marginal one.
All right.
I would hope we're working on trying to find something to help them out.
Em, over at the Call, are they working on this story? Yes. Trying to, and it's tough because there's all sorts of.
Oh, there's so many different.
So many people you gotta get a hold of. Steve D'Agostino, who is basically in charge of this endeavor, and then there's the mayor, and then finding the people that were affected as well, and where have they gone, and what services.
And some in cases like that, you know, we may only get so many sides.
Yeah.
Because it's people's privacy too. So whether they agree or disagree, maybe they are. It's not so much like maybe or won't they, or it's going to come to fruition, but kind of I agree with Bob's sentiment that I hope that they have found a place that's secure, that is better than what their situation was previously. I know that the Cranston Armory, there's been stories of how much that has been utilized, which is wonderful. Especially, getting into the colder weather and just, being able to be in a place, have a hot meal and being safer out of the elements. So it's, we'll obviously, as a newspaper and bringing the local news, we'll do our, due diligence as best as we can. Personally, I'm not a reporter, but just on the human side of it, you never want to see somebody out in the elements. You want to see them in a bed.
Yeah.
You want to have, get, 3 meals a day, get any type of care that they may need. So, I'm sure that everybody's trying to do their best to rectify the situation.
All right, Bob, yes?
What do you think?
This is a tough one because they're set up on city land, and you can't have it on city land. But then again, what land is not city-owned land? If it's not city-owned land, then it's private land. So, do they go to World War II Park and camp out there? Well, the city's not going to like that either. Or Cold Spring Park, or any of the other parks. So, where do you go? It seems like they're trying to be out of the way. We're not trying to intrude on anybody else, and that seemed like a decent enough area, though it is kind of right near the bike path, and so the city was a little worried about that. So I don't have the answers at all. None.
Emily and I were looking to you for the
answers.
The answer.
Yeah. Well.
Emily was earlier saying something about being Yoda. We consider you to be the Yoda.
Not me. No.
Oh, darn.
So I don't know. It just I thought about the guy. We had a story yesterday. There was a guy at Logan Airport that was doing something. I go. You can't be this dumb. And I'm like. But maybe
people can be dumb.
But is he doing it on purpose? So he will be put back in prison.
What
he did, he brought a loaded gun with him. He put it in a brown paper bag and put it in a shoebox and tried to get through TSA security. Well, they naturally picked it up right away, but when it went through the X-ray,
yeah,
and so he was arrested. I go, well, it sounds to me like you did this on purpose. Yeah. So you will be brought back to prison. He's a repeat offender. I can go there, I'll be warm, and I'll get fed, kind of thing. So, at least for the next couple of months, while it's really cold outside.
Wow. When you talk about weapons, though, I saw 2 articles in the paper recently that were, to me, distressing. One was that in the state of Alabama, they apparently passed a law which says you have the right to carry personal weapons on your person. They can be concealed, and you no longer have to have any kind of background check in order to do this.
To get the gun?
Yeah, which is
Wow.
quite scary.
Yeah.
And then there was an article about a man who had gone into a supermarket in Atlanta, Georgia, and had, I think, 5 or 6 weapons on him. And
Like knives or guns?
Guns.
Okay.
And he had been apprehended by the police, and the authorities are now having trouble deciding what to charge him with, because in Georgia, apparently, there's no restriction on whether or not you can carry guns into a public place. And so you're dealing with the conflict of, okay, we had that terrible shooting in New York where a man in the supermarket shot people with a gun, and yet in another state where you're not actually firing the gun, but you're just walking in there with a number of them, they're having trouble deciding whether or not that's a criminal offense that's chargeable.
Wow.
It's weird.
Sure is. All right, we're going to take another break here in the Coffee and program. So, Bob, it's time for a second message from your law office.
Thank you.
Please.
Good morning. I'd like to talk to you this morning about another decision of the Rhode Island Supreme Court which illustrates the importance of complying with the rules of evidence and civil procedure in preparation of a trial. This case is entitled Devaney versus St. Thomas More Catholic Church. It was decided only a month ago. The plaintiff purchased a home near the church. The church operated an electronically generated and amplified bell ringing system. The plaintiff contended that the bells constituted excessive noise, were hazardous to his health. He also alleged that the noise had diminished the value of his real estate, and he demanded $3 million from the church as compensation for its acts and the results thereof. In the course of litigation, each of the parties is permitted to propound interrogatories upon the other party. Those are questions which must be answered under oath and are prepared to provide each of the parties as much information about the claims and defenses of the other parties to the trial. It's a lawful means of trying to prevent a trial by ambush, where one of the parties has failed to disclose evidence of facts and springs the undisclosed evidence at the time of the trial. In the Devaney case, the attorneys for the church had filed interrogatories requesting the names of all the expert witnesses the plaintiff intended to introduce at the trial, along with copies of the reports of the witnesses concerning the alleged excessive noise and the injuries resulting therefrom, and the diminution in value of the real estate. When interrogatories are filed, the recipient of the interrogatories has the right to object in court to the scope of the questions and whether or not answers would be an invasion of the attorney-client work product. The party asking the interrogatories has the right to seek an order from the court to compel the other party to answer the questions. In the Devaney case, the trial court had issued orders concerning the extent of the answers, and the trial justice determined that the plaintiff had not been completely forthright in making the response. The court penalized the plaintiff by dismissing the case. The moral: when one is operating under orders of a lawful court, the failure of a party to comply with those orders may have a severe and undesired consequence. If you'd like to discuss this or other legal matters with me, please contact my office for an appointment. My name is Bob Lauder. My telephone number is 762-4550. And I hope I get through the disclaimer correctly this time. Supreme Court of Rhode Island licensed all attorneys in the general practice of law. The court does not license any attorney as an expert or specialist in any field of practice. Thank you.
All right, Bob, thanks. And the Coffee and program will continue here on ON Radio.
You know, when you're paying the right price for protection, you just know it. It's that warm, fuzzy, totally secure feeling, knowing that you're not only getting great coverage, but you're also not paying too much for it. And when it comes to your insurance, there's no one better at getting the right price for your protection than Allstate agents Kara and Celeste Benjamin, because they know when it comes to your bank account, every penny counts towards something bigger, something better. Like a nicer car, that home update you've been dreaming of, or a phone that's fresh out of the box. Those little or big things that we work so hard for. And Kara and Celeste Benjamin want to help you work a little less by getting you the coverage you need and the savings you deserve when you switch to Allstate. Contact Kara and Celeste Benjamin at the Benjamin Agency. One agency, 2 locations in North Smithfield and Bellingham. 765-5000 for a free quote today. Allstate, you're in good hands. And you're in good hands with Kara and Celeste Benjamin at the Benjamin Agency. Savings vary based on the average annual savings reported by new auto customers surveyed in 2019 who switched to Allstate. The fun never stops at the Honey Shop at Park Square in Woonsocket. Our first event for the new year on Sunday, January the 8th, is a class making elderberry syrup. Sign up now and check out our Facebook page for future events. If you're looking for some amazing gifts at affordable prices, stop by the Honey Shop. The shop is packed with hostess gifts, teacher's gifts, handcrafted jewelry, charcuterie boards with cheeses, sausage, crackers, dips and soup mixes, gift boxes with hot sauces, salsas or barbecue sauce, body care products like lavender bath soak ornaments, seasonal fragranced items, essential and fragrance oils. They also have Himalayan salt lamps, chakra sage smudges, and customizable gift baskets and boxes. Stop by for affordably priced, locally crafted gifts at the Honey Shop, 1300 Park Avenue, Woonsocket, 766-1488.
Maybe later. All right, it's Coffee In here on ON AM and FM. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callahan here, along with Emily Henning-Sheen and Bob Lauder. Still no Speaker of the House down in Washington. They keep voting, and they keep coming up with the same numbers. And nothing changes. They voted, what, 6 times now? Maybe more?
I think it might be,
6 times.
yeah, 6 times, yeah.
And we keep coming up with
Short.
212. 20 voting for somebody else, and then 202 for the Democrat. And we're not moving. Maybe it's time
I
for
mean,
something new.
how long can that go on for?
I think
I brought it up
the article
yesterday.
said in 1856 it went on for quite a significant.
Well, I thought it was 1923 when
That's the last time it happened.
Yeah, 9 votes.
Right.
Oh,
It
okay.
took 9 votes to get to a speaker, but 18 went even longer.
1856, I think there was a longer standoff between, at that time, abolitionists and people who were not against
Yeah.
slavery.
So while they fight it out, nothing gets done because nobody can get sworn in. So everything
Exactly.
kinda just stops.
Yeah.
It's
kind of nice,
unusual.
actually.
Well, yes and no.
Yes and
I-
no, yeah.
Yeah, I know, I know.
It sounds as though the 20 who are in opposition to
Kevin McCarthy.
Kevin McCarthy,
Yeah.
if they prevail, they're going to be significantly weakening the strength of the speaker, because they're asking for easier ways in which to remove a speaker.
Mm-hmm.
They're asking for themselves to be appointed to significant committees where they will be able to control some degree of the legislation, and their positions as being more conservative than the standard Republicans appear to be things that will not be likely to get any kind of bipartisan compromise and get things through Congress at all.
Yeah.
It's an unusual situation. They don't seem to have a viable alternative to Kevin McCarthy at this time. They talk about Congressman Scalise, but he's supporting McCarthy. The other names that they've brought up seem to be more right-wing conservative than many Republicans are willing to accept. It's a strange situation.
Very.
And I was surprised that when former President Trump made his statement and said, get over this and start supporting McCarthy, that people who adopt a lot of former President Trump's philosophies didn't respond and say, okay, we'll follow your guidance.
Yeah.
It's unusual.
So they'll try again. I think they reconvene at 9. They'll start the arguing again, and we'll be voting throughout the day until we'll see if anything changes.
I had 2 quick questions that had nothing to do
okay.
with politics.
Go ahead, then.
One was, Emily had said there was going to be a Valentine's Day contest.
Yes.
I want to know what the possible prizes are I can win. And the second one is, you had made a statement that is mind-boggling as to your romantic life. I want to hear the contest quick, and then I want to know about how you managed to ever
Fine.
find a girlfriend with that kind of a statement.
Fine. What's
So
contest first?
the contest is, like all of our contests, it's just, voting.
What do I win?
You can vote once a day, and, from a period of time to, like the week before. And then we will, it's all a random, drawing of the winner.
Get to the prize part.
Yes, I know. But there may be some gift certificates involved.
Oh.
There may be a stay somewhere. So I can't.
This isn't just for an oil change on my car or anything, is it?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
I can't give away all the secrets.
That's right.
Now,
There needs to be a build-up.
Mr. Callahan was telling us of how he was able to romance a girl in the past with an absolutely staggering Valentine's Day gift. Better than anything I could imagine.
Use this in. You can use this in your real life now, Bob.
I don't think I'd dare.
Well, this goes years ago. This is before I was married. Okay.
I can understand why.
We were coming up on Valentine's Day, and I asked her what she would like, and she actually told me what she wanted. And she needed something. She was going into teaching, and her briefcase was falling apart. So I bought her a briefcase, and she loved it. I'll have
Emily,
you
do you
know,
believe that last part?
She
Yeah, I do.
loved it.
Because as a person that is unconventional with, gifts that I ask for, I mean, especially, in it here, I've said in the past, for my birthday, my husband asked me, what do you want for your birthday? And my birthday's in May, and I wanted mulch.
There you go.
And cobblestone. So, I could make, new areas of my, rock gardens and things like that. So I think that's fine. Obviously you
see?
disagree, Bob.
If I had gotten any of the girlfriends in the past a briefcase, I think the only reasonable use would have been to have my cremains
hit
put
over
into it.
the head with it.
No, they'd be burying my ashes in it because there wouldn't be anything left.
I mean, perfect example. Like this year for Christmas, my husband asked me, what do you want for Christmas? I ended up buying one gift, and I told him, okay, you're giving me this. You just have to pay for it. And it was a new ornamental statue for the garden, for the yard. Yeah. We haven't put it up yet. And then he paid. I had to get new glasses, and unfortunately I'm blind as a bat, so my glasses are very expensive, and he paid for half. So and I was
There you go.
very pleased with that. It was like, okay, great.
Wow.
All right, Bob, I need your opinion on this. We brought it up yesterday on Coffee, and I don't know if you heard about it. It's about, suing and like that. And have you heard out in California, out in Hollywood? Do you remember the movie Romeo and Juliet?
I saw the article about this.
Okay,
Yeah, I do remember the film.
did you hear this? The 1968 movie.
Oh, okay.
Romeo and
Which
Juliet.
one? Because there's a
Right.
couple of.
It's the 1968 version. The two stars in it, Romeo and Juliet, they were 15 and 16. The guy was 16. The girl was 15 at the time. They're now suing Paramount for $500 million.
Because they were underage.
Underage nudity in the movie.
I saw an article.
Do they
about that.
Do they have a case, Bob?
Well, anybody has a case. It's
All right.
whether or not it's going to get through the courts. There was an article about this in one of the news feeds that talked about interviews that they had both given sometime in 2016, 2018.
Yeah, and they were fine with it.
When they were saying that it was perfectly okay and they were acceptable with it. I don't know how far it's going to actually get in court. I think that there probably is going to be some type of settlement along the way just to cut down on the legal fees. But I'm troubled by the fact that so many states have decided that under some criminal prosecutions, they're going to waive the statute of limitations.
Well, that's what happened in California.
Yes. Now, in this case, it's pretty evident that whether or not they actually performed, because there's the film to show. But to waive statutes of limitations and make an allegation that someone 30 years ago did something.
More than that.
It's 55 years
Well,
ago.
Yeah.
But how easy is it going to be to defend on a case if someone's making an accusation against you that you did some particularly heinous act 30 years ago? Now, I remember Brett Kavanaugh before the Supreme Court bringing in his calendars from college, but very few of us have our calendars from college or have any real accurate recollection of what you were doing on January 5th in 1988. I mean,
It just reminded me, and Em, you're going to remember this, the album cover for
Nirvana.
for the band Nirvana had
Yep.
a baby on it,
Yep.
about 6 months old,
Baby boy.
underwater, not wearing anything.
Yeah.
right.
Well, now that album is 20 years old now, and now the boy, who's now a man,
Actually, it's more than 20.
you're right, 25 years, and now the man tried to sue for exploitation. Of course, it got
thrown out.
It did get thrown out.
It did get
So I'm
thrown
thinking
out.
that's what's going to happen
Yeah.
this time round too with this cases.
Well, in the case of the Nirvana cover, I think the parents had signed some type of release.
And that's
the child was not identified, and unless
it wasn't.
He voluntarily said, "This is a photograph
me."
of me taken back then."
Yeah.
If he hadn't said that, no one would know.
No.
And it wasn't a invasion of his personal privacy because no one would know that he was the one who was on the cover.
It
So
was.
the film was
I mean,
different.
in that particular case, I think it was more of getting the 15 minutes of fame for himself.
Well, he got it.
Yeah, he did. But
now he's gone.
And now he's
there was-
into the wind again.
When Gene and I were on our vacation this summer, and we were at the, I think it was the British Museum, there's the album cover. And I thought it was because of the controversy regarding the photograph of the little boy. Apparently there's a dollar bill floating in the picture at the
Yes.
same time.
Yeah,
He's
there
trying to
is.
reach
And
at it. Yeah.
they were using that as part of a display on paper currency throughout the ages. So the little kid in the Nirvana cover is there because of the dollar bill. Has nothing to do with the notoriety of his photograph.
Oh, that's funny.
That is funny.
All right, we're going to wrap things up for today. We thank you very much for listening in. Bob Lauder, thanks for coming in today.
Thank you for inviting me. Hope to be here next week.
Very good. And Em, thanks for coming in.
Oh, thank you for having me, and I'll be here next week, same time, same place. And everybody have a great weekend.
Very good. Now, thanks to Scott McGee, who joined us a little earlier, too, and Dave Richards. All right, this is Joe Callahan. Have a great day, everyone. Stay tuned for Do You Remember? With Gary Smith and the crew coming up at 9:30 here on ON Radio.
Broadcasting live and local daily from the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street. This is WOON Woonsocket,